Today, we're making my interpretation of a Southern Thai classic, the sour curry with fish. It's my interpretation because when I finally got to have this in Thailand, it was so spicy that I couldn't have more than one spoon, and I spent the next 20 minutes just running around the room. But I've developed a few changes, staying as close to the real deal as possible to make this accessible and tasty to people who do not have an insane spice tolerance. So let's do it. First, and right away we start with the non-authentic part of the recipe. We make a fish broth to use as our cooking liquid using the head and the bones of the fish. Of course, if you're doing fillet, skip this step and just use water. And this is a water-based curry, meaning unlike the green, yellow kaeng, this curry is not cooked with coconut cream or coconut milk. Today we're using a red mullet, but you can use any red fish for this recipe. We take out the fillets. Because we're making a fish stock, I like to leave a bit of the belly flesh on with the belly bones. Perfect. You remove the pin bones. Same with the other side. And you cut them into decent sized chunks. Now, with the poorly filleted bone, we cut them into chunks so that it's easier to fit our pot. And you'll see why later, nothing goes to waste. To make our extremely flavorsome fish broth, stove on, high heat. And I want the pan to almost be smoking hot before I even add the oil. Now it's also a good time to boil some hot water. Now, once you could barely keep your hand here, high smoke point neutral oil, in this case, vegetable oil. And be generous with the oil, because we can always skim it off before we add it to our curry. Once the oil is shimmering, poorly filleted fish bone, they go in. But first, you want to make sure you hear the sizzle. Do not move them once they're in. Let them stick. It's absolutely fine. And we're giving this a proper sear, keeping it at high heat at all times. Once you can see the edges are caramelized, you scrape and you try to turn it as much as you can. But don't sweat if it's sticking too much. By the way, if you're scared of the head, you can do it just with the bones, so don't worry too much. Now, once the other side had about a minute to caramelize, maintaining high heat at all times, we now add boiling water, proper boiling water, not lukewarm water, yeah? And we let the magic of protein do the rest. And in no time, we'll have a milky white fish broth that would elevate the dish to the next level and continue to build flavors and a personal preference. That's definitely not authentic. I like to add a bit of white peppercorn to this. So while the broth is boiling away, we make a very simple sour curry paste. Now, you can buy this quite easily nowadays in most Asian supermarkets. But one thing I want to insist is that this dish is meant to be extremely spicy. So please adjust accordingly. Now, very simple. We start with the dry Thai chilies. And like I said many times in my previous recipes, no matter what your spice tolerance is, I always prefer removing all the seeds because they add very little flavors, but a lot of spiciness. So if you can tolerate a spicier dish, add more chilies to give yourself more flavors. This is also when you stop touching your eyes and other body parts. If this is evaporating too quickly, by the way, just add a bit more boiling water, which I suspect we'll have to do at some point, just to be on the safe side. So that's plenty for me. We go. If you're doing a large batch, you could use a spice grinder for this. That would make life so much easier. You can feel it in your eyes. A bit of skin is okay. I mean, it's a rustic dish after all. So next up, green chilies. So the dry chilies always have a deeper spiciness that lingers. The fresh chilies is more on the palate, also brings a bit of freshness. Now, if you have a decent tolerance, use Thai bird's eye chilies, but again, for me, we're staying on the safe side. And once again, we remove the seeds from this, just help them get started here. Now, once you've introduced a somewhat wet ingredient, it's a good time to salt to give them a bit more friction. Perfect. Next up, we have some fresh turmeric, which is what gives sour curries the signature yellow/orange hue. By the way, if you're using a ceramic knife, wash it right after. Let's just cut this up. Perfect. And we continue to pound. Fresh turmeric tastes quite different from the dried version. It's less concentrated and it brings a lot more freshness to the dish. So if you could get your hands on them, try it. It'll really make a difference, not just for the color. Now, a bit of garlic and a bit of shallot, about equal weight. Of course, I'll have all the measurements in the description for you. Perfect. Now, once you have a fine paste, your fish broth is ready. Just look at this beautiful milky white color. We switch off the stove and we pass everything through a sieve to get our cooking liquid. Brilliant. Now, the flesh on the poorly deboned bones, we don't waste them. We pick off some flesh and we add them to our paste to really maximize the flavor extraction of this wonderful red mullet or whatever white fish you're using. This way we get the flavor from the flesh. One last round of pounding and mixing. Perfect. Our sour curry paste is ready. Now, to make the actual curry, it's very simple. We first drain off the majority of the liquid, or you could use a fresh pan. Now, with this thin layer left, we first bring this to a boil. Once this is boiling, we add beautiful sour curry paste and we work everything in to emulsify. Look at this color. And because we pounded the fish as well, we have this wonderful thickness. Now, once everything is more or less homogenized, we add the remainder of this wonderful fish broth. We taste. Oh, that's wonderful. And we start to season our curry. First, with tamarind to give it that sweet and sour balance. Perfect. Next up, fish sauce to give us the salinity and of course, the umami. Now, conventionally, you would add palm sugar to bring further sweetness, but we have an alternative, a red papaya, to go with what's more traditional, the green papaya. So, first up, we deal with the green. Cooked green papaya is so wonderful. Of course, we often associate green papaya with raw salads. When they're cooked, they have the complexity of a crossbreed between a daikon and a carrot and a parsnip. It's hard to describe. With green papaya though, you have to peel them because the skin is not edible. I like them quite chunky, bite-sized, but on the chunky end of the spectrum. Now, the red papaya. We remove the seeds, and this brings a ton of natural sweetness and reinforces this wonderful color of the turmeric. And this will not stain your shirt. And with this, I'm just gonna go with a spoon, like ice cream. I'm keeping them chunkier than the green papaya because they break apart quite easily. Perfect. So, we bring some heat back, and you want to give the green papaya about 10 minutes to slightly soften. Then, we quickly poach the fish, and we have dinner. So, after about 10 minutes, you could feel the green papaya has softened, but still holding its shape. And of course, the red papaya has started to impart some sweetness to our curry. We lower the heat slightly to medium, and we poach beautiful red snapper. And they need seconds. Now, once you're back to the boil, you know your fish is cooked. So stove off, and we add a very generous amount of lime juice at the very end to really bring the sour into our sour curry. Of course, you taste, that's absolutely perfect. And now we can plate. Be a bit careful when you plate this just because of the turmeric. Oh, look at this beautiful, beautiful creature. How beautiful is that? Sweet, sour, spicy, refreshing. This is my variation of the Thai southern fish curry with red and green papaya. I really, really hope you enjoy.